Good morning. And hello to those of you joining us online as well. I'm going to choose to imagine that you were all having mini parades around your living room while we were dancing here. My name is Joe, and my pronouns are he and him, and my life expectancy is 82 years. I know that because I did a thing called a life expectancy calculator online at a website called projectbiglife.ca. So that's pretty much a guarantee, right? I've been thinking about life expectancy this week because Carrie and I met with our insurance agent for a life insurance review. That's right, we take this adulting thing very seriously. As some of you will know, a big part of the conversation about life insurance is trying to figure out how much coverage you need, lots of air quotes today, for how long you might need it. Basically, you're trying to figure out how much money you need to leave behind for your dependents when you die, especially if it should happen sooner than later. Fun conversations to have with a total stranger. And all of it is so ambiguous and arbitrary. The agent asks very pointed questions like, how much do you think you'll need for funeral expenses? I don't know, how many pickles and buns are you all going to eat? How long will your children be dependent on you financially? 18 years, that used to be the standard, right? But how many kids live at home through university now, or move back home after, or need help with buying their own home? So like 18, 27, let's put down 18. How long will your spouse need to be off work in the event of your death? What amount will you need to cover your children's education? Do you have long-term disability coverage? And so it goes. The nice lady asks questions, and we make our best guesses while I try to keep my existential crisis on the inside. And then she taps enter, and the spreadsheet spits out some rather precise numbers. Okay, looks like you need X number of years of term life insurance for X number of dollars at X number of dollars per month. Well, that's certainly reasonable. You should lock that in right now, and then you'll be covered for everything your family will need. Okay, sure, I mean, you were here, right? You heard us just making stuff up a minute ago. And have you seen the news this week? What's a cart full of groceries going to cost next month? What's $1 going to be worth in 2 years, let alone 20? Can you show me where your formula accounts for the collapse of global markets, or the end of democracy, or minor breakdown of human society due to climate catastrophe? What are the chances? Not zero. But yeah, we're definitely covered, if you say so. I know that's not how it works. There is actual serious research behind the formulas and numbers, and the insurance agent steered our guesses in a reasonable direction. Life insurance feels like a reasonable choice for my particular situation, I guess. And I do feel better knowing that, to the best of our ability, my family does have something in place in the event of my untimely demise. But despite the veil of math and actuarial science, this business of projecting and insuring ourselves for the future has a whole lot to do with feelings, probably more than we care to admit. The feeling of being prepared, of having coverage and influence, feeling secure, feeling in control, in this case, the feeling of being able to control things beyond my death, which is ridiculous. But it's sold with a straight face. And we know on some level how flimsy all of this is. And yet, we continue to make predictions, forecasts, preparations, in spite of the uncertainty. Why do we do that when all the evidence demonstrates just how poorly our predictions hold up? Why do we continue to invest our time and money and emotions in particular outcomes that may or may not ever come to be? What is the cost of all this forward thinking and planning for the future? The word for the day is expectations, the penultimate in our Lent series of Christ colliding with all the things that we value. Expectations. Google says that an expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future, a belief that someone will or should achieve something. That's a pretty basic definition, but when you read it in church, that word belief stands out. Because this is what it means to be people of faith, doesn't it? Aren't we supposed to be looking forward? Aren't we supposed to trust in what we can't see, to hope for a particular outcome, regardless of the circumstances in the present, to expect and work for something better? We Christians are people of hope and faith, expectation. But Christ collides. Can our expectations get in the way? Can we hold the wrong expectations, or perhaps be too invested in ours? Can the way that we hold our faith, our hopes, whatever word you prefer, can our expectations keep us from seeing and understanding what's really going on? Christ collides with our expectations. What do we do with that? This story of Palm Sunday, the triumphal entry, is filled with relatable, conflicting human expectations. We have the 12 disciples, Jesus' closest friends and students. For weeks, they've been on the road, heading to the capital city of Jerusalem. And along the way, Jesus has been preparing them, warning them of the conflict waiting for them in Jerusalem. They knew that he's causing trouble, making enemies of the wrong people. And yet, they trusted him. They were following. He was the master, the rabbi. They were the students. And they trusted him, expected him to keep them safe, to not lead them to their destruction. An understandable expectation. As they enter Jerusalem, they are met by the crowd, the fans, the political rally, and this crowd is fired up. The gospel writer is straightforward about their motivations. They had seen for themselves, some of them, Jesus' power. They knew about the healings, the display of control over nature, the defiance of the religious and political authorities. This guy was on their side. He was the champion of justice against the empire and against the temple. Both the disciples and the crowd saw Jesus as the legendary Jewish Messiah, the change bringer, the revolutionary. Now is the time. The movement starts today. Everything is about to change here and now as Jesus takes charge. And then in the background, we have the Pharisees, the religious purists. They are the bad guys of the Gospels, in a suspiciously familiar way. They were worried that Jesus was changing everything so fast, upsetting the tradition, getting too political. Just slow down. Tell the crowd to chill. Don't make trouble with the empire. Don't challenge the faith. It's been keeping us together for centuries. We can disagree, but don't make it so public, so emotional, so dramatic. Expectations. Those are all pretty relatable to me, some more than others, but I can see where they were coming from. And as the rest of what we call Holy Week unfolds, we can see that all of them missed it. They all got caught up in their own concerns, their expectations for who they needed Jesus to be, and so they missed who he really was. They didn't see what was happening. They didn't hear what Jesus was saying directly to them. Some of them got there eventually, but some never did. And in the moment, they all missed it because of their expectations. Now, this is really a subplot to the main story of Palm Sunday. The main story of Palm Sunday is, as we've been celebrating already and singing about, the kind of king that Jesus actually was and is. This triumphal entry was a protest. It was a power play against the empire and the temple. But as the events play out, we see that Jesus holds this power in a very different way. He chooses a different path for the kingdom of God, the path of nonviolence, the way of sacrificial love. That is the main point of Palm Sunday, the upside-down king and the power of love. But most of us have heard that one before, and I expect that many of us will hear it again on Good Friday. And this year, the Lent theme invites us to sit with this idea of expectations getting in the way. Because not only do we miss out when we have the wrong expectations, but there's also something distracting, obstructing, misleading about having expectations in the first place and holding them too tightly. There's a parable about this, made famous by philosopher Alan Watts, called the parable of the farmer, made even more famous a few years ago by Bluey, the children's show. Once upon a time, there was a farmer whose horse ran away. That evening, all of his neighbors came around to check in, and they said, "Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your horse, that it's run away. This is most unfortunate." And the farmer said, "We'll see." The next day the horse came back, bringing 3 wild horses with it. And in the evening, the neighbors gathered again and said, "Oh, isn't that lucky? What a great turn of events." And the farmer again said, "We'll see." The following day, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses, but while riding it, the horse threw him off, and he broke his leg. The neighbors then said, "Oh, that's too bad." And the farmer said, "Well, thanks. We'll see." The next day, soldiers came to the village and forced all the young people to go with them to join their army. But they didn't take the neighbor's son, the farmer's son, because he had a broken leg. And again, all the neighbors came around and said, "Whoa, things really worked out for you." And again, the farmer said, "We'll see." I play this game all the time. Things happen and I make my judgments. "Oh, this is good," or "this is bad." And then I let my judgment about the present carry over into my expectations about the future. This thing that just happened, well, that's going to make things better, or it's going to make things worse. And somewhere in the analysis, in the evaluating, in the planning, we stop seeing what is because it's so thoroughly overlaid with the projection of what might be. Our expectations keep us from seeing. So on Palm Sunday, the crowds expect Jesus to be the Messiah, but when he doesn't start fighting against the Romans, they abandon him. The disciples expect Jesus to keep them safe, but when he's arrested, when they're threatened because of him, they run and hide. The religious leaders expect Jesus to be a heretic, so when he does things that seem heretical, they're happy to confirm and dismiss him. They expect him to stir up trouble, so whenever they deal with that trouble, then they move on with self-satisfaction. And because of their expectations, none of them saw who Jesus really was. None of them wondered what he was really up to. That's a pretty common experience. We do that with Jesus as well. We hold up the image of who we were told he would be. We hold up who he was for us in the past. We hold up who we wish he would be. And there's truth, a bit of it, in all of those expectations. But not all of that. That is not all that Jesus is. It's not every part of who God is. And if we hold on too tightly to just a part, then we miss the whole. We miss the rest. We do that in our personal expectations too. I get really invested in this vision that my insurance agent is selling, where I have coverage and control. I'm prepared for everything. That expectation, that feeling will take me down a particular path. Well, got to prepare, got to pay down my mortgage, got to save for the future. That can be part of life, but it's not the only thing. Those expectations might lead me down a path that I would not actually choose. I have expectations about the people in my life, things that I rely on them for, traits that I really like about them. And those are good things, but what if these people let me down? What if they grow and change? Do I love them, or do I love my image of them, my expectations for them? And I have expectations of the world. I want things to be orderly, fair, and just. I want the world to be lovely. What happens when the world doesn't live up to that? When there's chaos and destruction? Well, do I ignore it? Do I try to force it back into my little boxes? There's all kinds of ways that my expectations might cause me to miss what is actually happening, to miss reality. Expectations can be helpful, and they can be blinding. Today, I want to give you the chance to examine your own expectations. You found cards like these on your chairs when you came in. If you didn't have one, I think there's some at the back. There should be a writing utensil somewhere close by as well. I would invite you to take a look at the side that says, "What do you expect?" Think about some of the expectations that you're carrying with you right now. Could be anything, big or small, personal stuff, expectations for the world, where the world's going, whatever it is that you've been thinking about as I've been talking about expectations. And I put 3 categories on there: the positive expectations, the things that you're hoping for, the negative, the fears, the worries, and also the predictions category. Maybe it's neutral, just anything that, well, you might not know whether it's good or bad, you're holding it that way, but you have a hunch, you're preparing as though this thing is coming. So you can write whatever you like. I'm not going to ask you to share this time what's on the card. You can fold it up, take it home with you whenever you're done. But we'll just take a minute of quiet time to reflect and to write. What are your expectations? Find a place to stop there. Finish it later. I don't know what you've put down on your card, but I invite you to hold it loosely, literally, if you can. Put that card in your hand, cross your palms maybe, or just put it down in your lap so you can see it, but you're not holding tightly to it. Just feel that posture for a minute. You're holding it, but you're also letting go. This matters to you, you care, you're invested, but you're also open. Be curious, not judgmental. So in the Palm Sunday story, Jesus isn't the king that I thought he was. Okay, so what kind of king is he? He's not going where I thought he would. I wonder what path he is following. Why is he riding a donkey? You can turn that curiosity towards others, letting it replace judgment there as well. Oh, the Pharisees, their expectations are way different than mine. They don't actually want us to shout that Jesus is king. What's that about? What's in it for them? I know what I want. Why do they want what they want? And you can turn that openness and curiosity towards yourself. It seems like I'm really invested in this. I'm at a parade on a Saturday. Hosanna. My voice is even hoarse from all the shouting. Where's this emotion coming from? Why is my fist in the air? What's underneath this save us prayer? What do I really want here? What do I want Jesus to mean for me? And so on. We're going to take another minute to be quiet, to be curious about those expectations that you wrote down or thought about. So what do these things on the card say about you? Where is the goodness and light? What is honest and worthy, commendable in your desires? Even in the neutral stuff, even in the fears. Where is the image of God reflected in your expectations? So take another minute to be curious about what you're hoping for in this moment. That's one possibility of allowing Christ to collide with our expectations, helping us to hold them loosely, to practice this curiosity and exploration, seeing within and beyond, whether these things come to pass or not. Another possibility is setting those expectations aside, letting them go, at least temporarily, to focus on the present. One of the tensions that I've often wondered about with this Palm Sunday story is, what is Jesus thinking during the parade? On the one hand, he seems to know that this isn't going to last. This is a protest against the powers that be, but it's not the start of the revolution that the crowd expects it to become. They're not going to crown him as king. Despite what they're shouting today, some of these same people are going to turn against him in a few days. Jesus knows that the dangers from the religious leaders, he knows that the threat is real. He knows what the Romans do to their political enemies. And he knows that he has no intention of being the kind of Messiah, the kind of king that the crowd wants him to be. He knows all of this. He knows that this is a deeply flawed parade. But Jesus doesn't stop them. He doesn't correct or downplay this moment. Oh, wait, this is an upside-down kingdom. Don't shout. I'm coming to give my life to the powers, not overthrow them. And he does say that elsewhere. But here he's seemingly enjoying, even encouraging the celebration. He's about to be arrested and crucified. He knows that. And yet, Hosanna! Yeah, that's me! Right? Not quite Jesus Christ superstar, but he lets himself be celebrated, to be the center of attention. I know this is a complicated story, and there's a lot of symbolism going on, but it's also simple. There's an expectation of what's coming, and there's a present moment. There's here and now, and there is we'll see. And Jesus seems to balance these two well, to let each have their place. I'm reminded of the story earlier in the Gospel of Luke, when Jesus was accused of not being serious enough in his religious practice. Some of the religious leaders came to Jesus and asked why Jesus and his disciples weren't as disciplined in their faith as others. John's disciples are always fasting and praying. That's how we Pharisees do it too. We are serious about our religion, but not you. Your disciples are always eating and drinking. There's no discipline in your parties. Religious people are not supposed to have this much fun. Jesus responded that people don't fast when they're at a wedding. There is a time for fasting. That day will come for my disciples as well. But right now, this is a wedding. I'm here. I'm the MC. This is a time to celebrate. I'm paraphrasing. But Jesus is making the point that you have to be where you are. That future stuff, the seriousness, the hardship, the rest of Holy Week, the crucifixion, that's coming. And that will be what it is. But it's not here yet. So whatever is on your card, whatever expectations you wrote down, that is for later. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, Roman contemporary of Jesus, stated it in the negative. The one that suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. I see Jesus doing much the same on Palm Sunday. Expectations, the forecast, cloudy with a chance of torture. Not great. But today, right now, we're at a parade. Somebody get me a donkey. Hosanna. Blessed be. Party on, dudes. Don't let your expectations, these hopes or fears, don't let them keep you from seeing today, this moment. On the other side of the card, it says, right here, right now. Joys, sorrows, beauty, whatever it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you see. Is it good? Is it bad? What does it mean? We'll see. But right now, it is. And again, I'm going to pause for a minute for you to reflect on what is today. You can write if you like. You can just hold it in your mind, your heart. Take a breath. Be here now. We'll take a minute together. fond of sharing things from my office bulletin board, and this one has been with me for so long that I've forgotten what magazine it came from or who might have written it. We'll have this as our closing. May all who turn these pages feel your touch at their elbow. May all who get out of bed to face this day hear the sun rise in song. May all who wonder, wander, and work on the impossible taste and see that the Lord is good all the time and all the time. Today we will let water run when we should have shut it off. We will chase doubt around the living room. We will pretend we did not hear. We will do too much. We will ask why no one noticed. Tomorrow we will sin and shine. But just now, we will sing with the singer, breathe with all breath, and know. May it be so with you. Amen.